Here's a million-dollar question that's dividing an entire city. When does civic branding cross the line from progress into pure political theater? The Texas Capitol just dropped a bombshell that has residents, politicians, and taxpayers seeing red over a sea of blue and green. Austin's municipal leaders have officially rolled out their brand new city logo after investing a staggering $1.1 million in what they're calling their first ever unified branding initiative. But here's where it gets controversial. Critics are already calling it everything from a woke disaster to a homeless tent design that looks like it belonged on a middle school math textbook. On September 4th, city officials proudly presented their fresh visual identity, a flowing, wave-like A rendered in purple and green hues. The design represents what officials describe as Austin's natural landscape, the rolling hills, flowing rivers, and connecting bridges that define the region's geography. But this is the part most people are missing. The real story isn't just about aesthetics. Texas Congressman Chip Roy didn't mince words when he appeared on The Will Cain Show, delivering a scathing critique that's resonating far beyond Austin's city limits. City leaders want to blow $1 million on rebranding, strip away traditional symbols like crosses, and replace them with some kind of woke-looking band emblem, Roy declared. His comments tap into a broader national conversation about whether local governments are prioritizing image over substance. But Roy's criticism goes deeper than just the visual design. He's raising questions that many taxpayers are asking. Why spend 7 figures on a logo when basic city services are struggling? We've got Austin residents whose 911 calls go unanswered, Roy pointed out. Crime rates are climbing because they've been systematically defunding and dismantling their police force. This creates a fascinating tension. Is civic branding a legitimate investment in community identity or a misplaced priority when public safety concerns persist? City Manager T.C. Broadnax stands firmly behind the investment, offering a completely different perspective on what this rebrand represents. For the first time in Austin's 150-plus-year history, we're creating a unified visual identity that represents all city services under one cohesive organizational umbrella, Broadnax explained. The logic here is actually quite sound from a business standpoint. Most major corporations spend millions ensuring consistent branding across all touchpoints because it builds recognition and trust. The implementation strategy reveals just how comprehensive this overhaul really is. Starting October 1st, 2025, the transformation begins with digital platforms. The city's website, social media channels, and electronic newsletters will debut the new look. Physical changes to uniforms, vehicle fleet graphics, and municipal signage will follow a gradual timeline designed to spread costs over multiple budget cycles. This phased approach actually demonstrates fiscal responsibility, contradicting critics who suggest the city is being reckless with taxpayer money. Jessica King, Austin's Chief Communications Director, provided insight into the creative philosophy behind the controversial design. The flowing lines capture our signature hills, rivers, and bridges, elements that literally connect our community members to each other, King elaborated. Our color palette draws inspiration directly from Austin's environment. Those distinctive violet-crowned sunsets, and the lush green canopies that shade our extensive park and trail systems. For a city that prides itself on environmental consciousness and outdoor culture, these design choices actually make perfect sense. But here's where the story takes an interesting turn. DJ Stout, the Pentagram design firm creative director who spearheaded the project, made some remarkably candid admissions about the creative process. He openly acknowledged that developing Austin's logo was the ultimate design by committee experience, and described Austin as a little liberal island, politically speaking. These comments inadvertently fuel the very criticisms Roy and other conservatives are making. Did political considerations influence what should have been a purely aesthetic decision? the public reaction has been swift and brutal. Local residents haven't held back their opinions, with one telling KXAN News that this new logo is absolute garbage. It looks exactly like a homeless encampment tent. Social media commentary has been equally harsh, with users comparing it to a failed biotech company's desperate rebranding attempt. One Instagram commenter summed up the collective frustration with a simple, "bruh." These reactions highlight a crucial disconnect between official intentions and public perception. However, marketing expert Chris Ahrens from the local university offers a fascinating long-term perspective that challenges immediate reactions. Speaking to KXAN, Ahrens pointed to Coca-Cola's iconic script logo as an example. When you look at Coca-Cola's branding, it started as just elegant handwriting. But over 120 years of consistent use and positive associations, they transformed that simple script into a symbol that instantly communicates happiness, refreshment, and American culture. Ultimately, it's not the initial design that matters. It's what the organization makes that symbol represent through years of consistent service and community engagement. This raises a thought-provoking question that goes to the heart of the controversy. Are we witnessing Austin's first step toward building a stronger civic identity, or watching taxpayer dollars disappear into a vanity project that prioritizes political messaging over practical governance? The timing of this rebrand also deserves scrutiny. Why now? Austin is experiencing unprecedented growth, with new residents arriving daily and the city's character rapidly evolving. Supporters argue that a unified brand helps manage this transition by creating shared visual language for an increasingly diverse population. Critics counter that established communities don't need expensive new identities. They need effective governance of existing challenges. And this is where the real controversy lies. Does spending $1.1 million on visual branding represent forward-thinking civic leadership or tone-deaf political virtue signaling? The answer probably depends on your perspective regarding government's proper role and spending priorities. What's your take on this million-dollar rebrand? Do you think Austin's investment in unified branding will pay dividends in improved civic pride and organizational efficiency? Or does Congressman Roy have a point about misplaced priorities while basic services struggle? Should local governments be investing in professional branding like major corporations? Or do you see this as taxpayer money that could be better spent on infrastructure, public safety, and essential services? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Whether you're Team Rebrand or Team Roy, this conversation is far from over.